30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. We're going to have some fun today. I can tell already. Billy, that was an interesting cavalcade of music that you appeared to mix in. Didn't sound like it was necessarily one tune, but maybe about three of them.
Yeah, I think I accidentally pressed 3. Didn't mean that. You live and you learn.
We're not going to let Kelly get in on this one.
Kelly's muted right now.
What we are going to do, however, is tell you we've got a great show coming. Tony Basilio, of course, today at 2:20 from Knoxville. And then my buddy Chuck Morgan, who has been the public address announcer of the Texas Rangers for right at 40 years. He's now a world champion, and a week ago he led a parade in the Dallas-Arlington Metroplex area that he's going to tell us about at 3 o'clock. But most importantly, we bring Terry McCormick to our microphones. Terry's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. Dial her up, 969-4350. Check out the shirt. I am very proud of this. Terry, if you will, stand up so people can see.
I don't want to stand up, George. I'm on an ottoman.
Okay, that is the problem. So that was the first shirt we gave to everybody in year one, which was a sea of gold. And, of course, the only person who complained about a free shirt was Kelly Holcomb. I mean, gee, there's a big shock. You know,
Terry, please take it off.
You should be
not ashamed. In front of the camera.
No. That's horrific. I wasn't the only one that complained about it. I was just the only one that complained loud enough.
Right. There was one other person who did. So this year, everybody will get a red Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night shirt, and Kelly had nothing to do with it.
Well, the thing is, George, the thing is, I won't see it because I'm not coming.
Really?
Yeah, really. I'm still not on the open.
You will miss out on a good time.
Well, is that right? I've been there before.
Did you have fun?
It was pretty fun. It was it's really frustrating to me to know that you know that many people. It's frustrating. And they're all good people too. That's the thing about it. They're all, but you know what? Like, we don't need you on the mic this year. Please don't get on the mic. Just let somebody else handle that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I nominate Poggy to do the mic this year.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Me too. I second that.
Would he be Santa Claus? Would he be peddling season tickets? What would he be doing?
I would say he would probably be a little bit of the Bad Santa-like. If you've ever seen the movie Bad Santa.
I have.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So, by the way, I could use a few more of you to sign up for the event, which is a week from Monday, November the 27th, the Monday after Thanksgiving. As a single person, I'll get you on a team. The cost is $200. The proceeds benefit the Last Minute Toy Store and the Martha O'Brien Center. If you're looking for some way to do something good around the holiday season, sign up for this, have a blast, and know that you're really helping some kids around Christmas time that are not as fortunate as we are. With that in mind, if you want to sign up, if you'd like to be a part of this, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. That's plastergeorge@gmail.com. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming already in progress. Terry, what's going on at the Titans?
Well, George, I want to kind of do a little bit of analysis here and tell me if you agree with me.
Okay.
I think when you talk about this Titans team, and perhaps they had already turned the page when they named Will Levis the starting quarterback going forward, but I think the loss in Tampa Bay that drops them to 3-6 signals that the focus for the rest of the season is now different. Yes, they're still trying to win games, but the playoffs are, they're not going to the playoffs. I think they now, over these last 8 games, have to evaluate every single player at every single position just to see who might fit in their plans for 2024 and who needs to be shown the door at the end of the year. So this is going to be very important individually for the players that are on this roster if they want to stick around beyond this year. They need to start showing something, and they need to, and everything needs to be geared toward building this offense around Will Levis, protecting him, and putting together something that can show some life and score some points to give them some encouragement going into next year and let them know exactly what they need in terms of pieces that need to be added.
Okay, let's say I totally agree with you. And I think you know that because I came out several weeks ago and said, who's kidding who? This is a 7-10 football team. This is not a 10-7. This is not a division champion. They're not going to the playoffs, whatever. But, Terry, let me ask you this realistically. The pieces that are there right now, offensive line, skill people, whatever, they're not going to get much better. This is what it is.
It is what it is. This roster is bereft of talent.
Bereft? Wow.
Yes.
Nice word.
I mean, there are a few pieces here and there, and there's some guys that you certainly can't get a complete read on, like a Traylon Burks, because he's been hurt so much. It would be nice if he could get back and you could get a full evaluation of him over these last 8 games of the year to see just exactly what type of receiver you have and what type of receivers you need to add in the offseason. But the offensive line is in shambles. I would say that everybody except Peter Skoronski is on notice that you probably won't be back here next year. And then the tight ends, I think they need to get a better assessment. They need to get a full assessment of what Josh Wiley is and can be. They need to figure out why Chigakonkwo has regressed so much. And then the other thing, too, George, that they need to figure out if Derrick Henry's still a part of the plan because his contract is up. But I think in the right situation, if they put some pieces in, if they can rebuild the offensive line, I think it would be smart to bring Derrick Henry back, not only to sell tickets and make him the franchise's all-time leading rusher, but I think he can still contribute something. But I think the change has to be you don't make him the focal point of the offense anymore. I think it's time for them to come into the 21st century and make a quarterback with a strong arm the focal point of the offense.
Okay, you've made some really valid points, a lot of which could be spent in an hour, and who knows, I may contact you and say, let's do an hour on this kind of thing. But let me ask 2 questions. Number one, does Mike Vrabel want to get into the 21st century offensively? What's your gut feeling?
Well, I think ideally, if he had his ways, he'd probably like the way that they were played a couple of years ago when they ran the football and then used play action. But I think the NFL has evolved so much that, George, it's not only hard to do it that way, it's hard to find players who can do it that way now. You look at what's coming from the colleges. Everybody's running some sort of version of the spread. There are very few pro-style offenses left. There are very few blocking tight ends left that you can go and get. Even the offensive linemen are different now because they're doing a lot more pass blocking and RPOs and things like that than they are 7-step drops to wait for a guy to break open 15 yards down the field. So to me, they've got to evolve as the game evolves, and that includes Mike Vrabel.
Interesting stuff, Terry. We may do a longer form of this here very soon.
All right. Sounds good, George.
Keep wearing that shirt. And you know what? Just to piss Kelly off, I think I'm going to wear mine here soon. See ya.
Interesting. See ya.
Isn't it, though? Okay. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So dial her up at 615-969-4350. We've spoken to Kelly Holcomb. Let's say hello to Billy Derrick, get him a little screen time. Billy, do you have an update?
I do. We'll start in college football. Quinn Ewers announced that he will return to Texas next year. So all of a sudden, Arch Manning's future, I don't want to say up in the air, but if Ewers is there next year, he's not playing. They've also got Malik Murphy, a guy that they like. So whether it's Murphy that transfers or Manning that decides to transfer, one of those guys is going to leave the program.
Yeah.
But just interesting how Ewers is staying next year.
Well, I mean, was he flattering himself to think he was going to the NFL?
No, but I think it was still up in the air whether or not he actually would.
I mean,
but
look,
no,
he's a nice
NFL
quarterback. NFL,
no.
Not yet. Kelly?
Well, no, you never know how guys are going to pan out. I know that Archie Manning came out the other day and said that he was not transferring. So, we'll see. He talked about Eli. He's like, Peyton started as a true freshman, but he's like, Eli had to wait, and he played 3 years. He only played 3 years, so he's like, he's, got to bide his time.
Yeah.
His first real action was in a Music City Bowl game against West Virginia that I did on radio. And for $19.99, you can have a copy of that. Thank you.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, Josh Allen struggled again last night. Only 177 yards, 2 interceptions. Broncos beat the Bills 24-22. Just an epic collapse by Buffalo. They had a late pass interference that kept the Broncos drive alive. And then the old 12 men on the field. And Will Lutz hits the game winner.
Dumb.
Sean McDermott, not looking good for him. They fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, this morning. And they named Joe Brady, former LSU OC, as the interim replacement.
Was he on Buffalo's staff, Brady?
Joe Brady, yep.
He was, yeah.
Oh, I did
he was
not
he was the guy on the sideline that was sitting next to Josh Allen all the time looking at the plays on that on the iPad, yeah.
So there is no question. There's something going on in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I don't pretend to know what it is, but there's something, Kelly. What do you think it is?
I don't know, man. I talked to one of my guys this morning, but he would not. He just texted me back and said a mess. It is a mess, and that's. I told y'all before that when head coaches get heat put on them, something's got to happen, and the heat is obviously getting put on him, and he just made a decision today to fire Ken Dorsey. Now, I mean, myself, we've talked about it on the show too, George, Billy. There's been a lot put on Josh Allen. I don't know what for, but like it's getting to the point right now that you can tell that he's pressing in a game, and
yes,
he can't catch the ball either. I mean, he had a couple of balls last night. The first one was dropped and it went up in the air and it got intercepted. But the second interception he had was not very good. He puts the ball in danger too much, and I don't know. There's something amiss. The chemistry on that team is I don't know what the deal is. I know they've had a heck of a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively, nobody's missing. Other than the tight end, and they got the Kincaid kid that they got out of Utah, who's a really good player. Yeah. So he dropped a pass last night. It just seems like everything is so pressurized, and it seems like all the expectations have kind of gotten to the Bills and gotten to Josh Allen, because every time something happens, you can see it in his eyes. It's like it just gets that more intense for him.
Does it look to you like they're one good wide receiver short?
I don't know, George. They got some guys. I mean, they got Stephon Diggs too.
I know about Diggs, but I'm talking about Diggs and then what?
Well, then I can't. I don't know the other guy's name. I forget his name.
Gabe
The
Davis.
one that dropped that. Yeah, Davis. He's
Davis.
a good player, man.
Yeah.
He's a good football player. So I don't think that's what it is, George. I just don't.
I think they're pressing.
I don't know. I don't know, but I know this. I told my wife last night when the dude missed a field goal and then they throw a flag for 12 guys on the field. I mean, that's a coaching deal right there. And
sure it is.
the head coach, I've seen head coaches get fired for stuff like that.
Count to 11.
Yep.
Marcus Freeman couldn't.
11.
He's still got a job.
That's true.
Thank you.
Other news, Cowboys with a brutal injury. Leighton Vander Esch, his season is over. It wasn't expected to be over, but it is now because of a neck injury. He's 27 years old. So
he's had neck injuries in the past.
Now his career, he's going to have to make a decision probably after this season. He was eligible to come off IR after getting hurt a month ago, but he still had lingering symptoms, so he's out. So brutal for the Cowboys. We'll see how that impacts them. Also, college basketball tonight, Tennessee and Wofford at 5:30, Vanderbilt, UNC, Greensboro. Vandy's a 2.5-point favorite against a mid-major team at home.
That's how at home.
Yeah, that's how far that program has fallen.
That's pleasant. What time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yep. And then Champions Classic tonight. The old Kentucky and Kansas at 8:30. Also Duke, Michigan State at 6, and they'll have the college football playoff rankings reveal at halftime. So I don't know how they ever do. They just put that right in the middle of the halftime, or not halftime, in between the two games. So they just reveal it. They keep it on ESPN.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you saw it before we go to the break. Dick Vitale is cancer free. He's in remission.
Good.
Following the battle with vocal cord cancer, but his return has been delayed to ESPN. So don't know when he'll be back. I think he's hoping to be back this season, call of games, but they don't know when yet. So, but nonetheless, he's healthy. And
to quote him, Dickie V, baby. Get well, Dickie V. We miss you.
Yeah.
I was glad to see that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
That's good. Thank you.
Yep.
After the break, we'll head to Knoxville and we'll find out what Tony Basilio's Saturday was like. My guess is it got a little spicy. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen printed t-shirts, laser engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. As a lot of you all have figured out, Tony Basilio is one of the hardest working people in the radio talk show industry I know. He just is. And when he sent me a text last week saying, I am too sick to do my own show and I'm too sick to come on yours, I knew he was sick. And so let's get the health report right off the bat. Sponsored by the Mayo Clinic. Are you alive?
Barely, man. I've had COVID and got really sick with it. And yeah, I'll send you and Kelly a photo later of how I showed up at the doctor's office. But I had a dish rag on my head. My temperature was just like burning up. And
oh my God!
Yeah, man, crazy.
So, are you better?
I'm feeling somewhat better, but I'm not like great. But I'm just trying to, I'm trying not to go get a secondary infection. My doctor warned me. He was like, people like you try to get up and run before you can and don't, kind of take it easy.
Did you take it easy Saturday?
Yeah, I only did 4.5 hours post game after that game with a fever.
Oh, that's not good.
Not good, man.
So what was the reaction?
I mean, people are just kind of shocked, like this is a weird thing that's started to happen under Heupel, a little bit of a trend dating back to the South Carolina game last year, which is take a team on the road in a game that you should at least be in or competitive in or maybe win and just get obliterated, not show up. That was bad Saturday, George.
So you're a lot closer to it than I am. What's your theory on that?
I don't have a theory. I don't think they have a theory. I was talking to somebody about Heupel today, and they say around the complex, he just looks kind of, like he hadn't slept and just kind of like out of answers. And I think they were shocked by the way that went on Saturday, George. And I don't think there's any sugarcoating what happened there. Their team did not look ready or prepared or, schematically in that game. They just didn't look good at all.
So now that sets up this deal that everybody has had circled for months. November 18th, everybody was hoping was for the SEC East, for national title possibilities, even though that seemed a little extreme. What do you think they show up as Saturday? Is it the continuance of the blahs or a totally maniacal, we're letting it all loose?
George, it's college football, so anything's possible. My sense of where they are right now is they're pretty beat up. They lost another wide receiver they could ill afford to lose Saturday. which on making the Thornton kid making a great catch in the end zone, really their lone highlight, if you will, of the game. And Neyland Stadium, the numbers are 13 and 26. So Tennessee's won 13 straight in that building, including a win over Florida and then last year's classic with Alabama. But Georgia's won 26 straight college football games. And they're coming to town. I'm referring to them on my show this week as a gathering storm. That's what Georgia looks like to me. And until I see differently, I think Georgia's going to rain it down on Tennessee. I don't see how the Vols, the way they've played, and especially the way Tennessee's defending. Since Kamal Hadden went out, Tennessee's decided to go with this goofy zone defense and this finesse defense instead of getting upfield and rushing the passer and just trying to use their linebackers to some extent to get at quarterbacks. They've been extremely passive with their defense, and it's turned into some really horrible play on the field, unfortunately.
Yeah. So let's go to the, what did you call it? Not impending storm of Georgia.
Gathering storm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Beck has gotten way better, and now he's got miraculously a Bowers who looks completely healthy. And you know as well as I do that Bowers, just his mere presence opens up so many other possibilities for them. I'm kind of with you on gathering storm.
Yeah. You know, we live in an era of opt-outs too, right? Where that's the thing. Or, you know, coaches going into business for themselves, players going into business for themselves, and it's understood. Here's a guy that rushed to come back. Not only did he get back before the championship game, he got back for the regular season, which is a lot quicker than most people thought. And who would have blamed him? It's a top 10 pick in the draft. Who would have blamed him if he would have made a business decision? Here's a guy that rushed to get back. Look, if I wasn't a Tennessee fan, I would be celebrating that. I think that's great for college football. Unfortunately for Tennessee, it's probably not going to be great for their brand of college football on Saturday because he really does open it up. I mean, he's a low-key most valuable player type in college football. He just is when he's on the field. And he was pretty good. I mean, he was pretty good against Ole Miss, George, and he wasn't even supposed to be out there, to your point.
I know.
And he was good. And he was good.
So is it as simple as Georgia has to do what the Bills did last night?
Yeah.
Give it away 2 or 3 times for this to work? For this upset possibility?
We need Josh Allen to walk through that door. Josh Allen is the king of the goofy turnover. I don't know Tennessee's going to get that, but they need to hope for that. And Josh Allen, that one turnover he had at midfield, the fourth one last night, on a handoff.
The handoff.
I mean, how many handoffs have you executed in your life and you just drop a ball on the ground? I mean, what in the world? Is he fixing games? I mean, what? Anyway, Tennessee really has to be defensively Saturday much more alert, and they got to play with some more fire than they have. They're not getting home with quarterbacks anymore. For a stretch, our fan base was kind of whining about the fact that you didn't see there was too much holding going on and the guys are being held. You know, that only goes so far. And then after a while, you got to go play and you got to make your own plays. And Tennessee's defense has just been just not very good. And then the offense on the other side of the equation, the other night we got disengaged Joe Milton, and disengaged Joe Milton might as well not even show up. He's over there smiling and laughing, and you're getting your brains beat in. And I mean, I suppose that's the modern day athlete.
Kelly? I'm not sure how to respond to that, except
I mean, Kelly, you think
that
that's funny when your team's getting his brains blown up, beat in, and you're over there laughing? You think that's funny?
Well, I said that yesterday about a little bit about KJ Jefferson at Arkansas. Like, the guy is an unbelievably talented guy. He turns the ball over too much, but like I said yesterday, he never moves the needle for me. And it's kind of the same thing for Joe Milton. As a quarterback, you have to, like, the new word today is bring juice. You've got to bring energy. You got to bring leadership. And it doesn't look like KJ Jefferson does it. And it did not look like that the other day. I mean, I've seen, when Cam Newton was in that Super Bowl, I forget who they were playing. Maybe it was
Denver.
it Denver? I think it was Denver. Yep. But like, he played well all year, and then something goes wrong, and then he just looked like he was disengaged, like you just said. And that's kind of how it felt the other day with Joe Milton. I mean, you're watching him throw balls, and he's so bad throwing the ball downfield. And we've talked about it ad nauseum on here, but like where does that get any better? I'm just not sure. And we were talking about it yesterday about, like, can they play well against Georgia? Can the fans get in it? And I said, I don't think it matters if the fans are in it. They just can't. They're not ready for Georgia. I don't think. We'll see Saturday because things can change. But, like, if you don't have a quarterback that's playing well and that can make plays in this SEC of today, you're behind the 8 ball.
Well, and I think, the thing about Milton that's gonna at the NFL level, they're gonna see him and they're gonna see his arm and they're going, wow.
Oh yeah.
The buyer beware on that arm is, as a friend of mine says, it's in professional baseball. There's a difference between having a big arm and arm talent. A lot of people have big arms. Few have arm talent. The ability to put the ball where you want it to be. The ability to kind of feel what you're doing, like when you're trying to pitch, the ability to kind of feel what's called for to get this person out that's in front of you. And a lot of people are blessed with big arms. One of my callers said about Milton, and this is not a slam at him, it's just an observation. He's a guy that just doesn't make the guys around him better. He just doesn't raise them up. And that's not good. I would rather have somebody with lesser ability that has the ability to raise up the people around them than to have somebody that has a big, strong arm that's just out there smiling and cutting up and laughing. I mean, I'm sorry. And I'm not piling on the guy because they lost the other day, because truly that loss was not about him. I mean, that was a total team collapse job. It wasn't just Joe Milton. But if you don't have one of those quarterbacks that can look at everybody and go, look, this is not going to happen to us today. Not on my watch. And then you go over there and scream at the defense. I mean, you've been there, Kelly. You go over there and scream, especially at the collegiate level, when you're a really good player, you go over there and scream in defense, hey, guys, this ain't going to happen on my watch. We're not going through this today. But Milton just over there, kind of is what it is. You can't tell what the score is by looking at him, Kelly.
No. I'm with you. I mean, is that like, Tony, is that the modern day athlete? Like, I was talking the other day with Tim Couch. We were texting back and forth, and like, it just seems like that is the modern day athlete. And I'm afraid that all this NIL stuff and all this transfer portal stuff is going to just accelerate the problem with, like, guys go out there. I can remember being in games in college, and it was a totally different era, but we were getting beat, but you had no guys on our team that would quit. Now guys see adversity in front of them, and they just don't step up. As Coach Donnelly used to say, they don't step up to the licking block, son. Like, is this the new age athlete that we're seeing?
No, I think these guys work really hard, and from your son, these guys work really hard at this.
No question.
And I think competitors are always going to compete, but there's always been through the history of time, some people that have that little extra it in them, and some people that are just out there to put their uniform on because they're pretty good at it. And look, Brock Bowers is a great example of that. Should he be on the field this weekend? If that was your son, would you let him on that field this weekend and risk all that he has to gain? But he
Well,
opted back in. Think about it. That guy opted back in. That guy easily could have sat out. So, and I still think there's a lot of those guys in all these sports that are highly competitive people. But you got to find them. And to your point, in the NIL era, and then we have this era where these coaches tell these kids, as you know, hey, I'm going to be there for you. And the minute another job opens, and it's not even head coaches, it's the assistant coaches lying to these kids, recruiting guys knowing I'm not going to be there in February. I'm not going to be there, but I'm going to go sign them all anyway.
No, you're absolutely right. But it seems like the Georgias of the world and Alabamas of the world, those are two. But I can remember a couple of years ago when Alabama, I guess it was last year, when they went to the bowl game against Kansas State, and they didn't have anything to play for, yet they had the number 1 pick that played and the number 3 pick or number 4 pick in Will Anderson. Both those guys played, and they weren't playing for a national championship. So it just seems like they're breeding that. And yes, I would want my son to play. That's just kind of who I am. That's kind of the way I taught him. It does, I don't want him to get hurt, obviously. And if he's like Brock Bowers' talent, you don't want Brock Bowers to get hurt, but like, that's part of the deal. Like, let's go play football and let's not worry about that. If we're playing hard, normally you get injured when you're out there loafing, and that doesn't always happen, obviously. But I would want my son to play, and it just seems like certain organizations have got that instilled in their kids, and I don't know. But my next question to you is defensively, man. Like, where did that come from? Like, we've talked about this all year, and Tennessee's defense played really well. They've got some really good players on defense. They finally got some team speed, but the other day, man, golly, that Schrader kid played at Division II the year before, and the guy had over 300 yards of total offense. Like, where did that come from? What happened to UT's defense?
Well, I don't know, but they had bad schemes. Bad schemes. Josh Heupel stood before the media afterwards and said something to the effect of, they did things that we hadn't seen, we weren't expecting, which you don't hear head coaches say that. And somehow they were able to isolate Tennessee's young linebacker in the middle there and just time after time victimize him. The kid from the mid-state, the Herring kid.
Yeah.
And in my mind, Kelly, at some point, it's not the Herring kid's fault. I mean, if that happens over and over again, you've got to adjust as a coach. And Tennessee just sat there and just let it happen to them over and over again. I mean, it almost got comical. There was a situation on the goal line where Tennessee had them pinned on a 3rd and long on their goal line after punting the ball down there. And this Australian punter the Vols have is really developed into a weapon. I mean, pinning teams on your goal line, but you got to be able defensively to play a little bit. And there's a 3rd and long, and not only do they lose the quarterback, but he's 21 yards deep into their defense before anybody's even in the picture. How can that happen on the goal line? I mean, how does that? And that's the kind of day it was for Tennessee. Ironically enough, Tennessee's defensive coordinator, Tim Banks, today was named as a finalist for the Broyles Award, which really thrills our fan base. They're rooting for him at this point.
Do you think that with Heupel saying that, you think that's kind of an excuse? Because you're right. I mean, at some point, the X's and O's, but just like Tom Moore used to tell me, it's the Jimmys and Joes. And if you got the Jimmys and Joes, you have to be able to adjust on the fly. And I'm just not sure that what they were doing. Do you still think the defense was given 100%? Do you think those guys were in it fully, or did they get to a point where they said, "Hey, this is too much of a mountain to climb. We lost this game"?
I had somebody, that was kind of milling around the bench area the other day say that the defenders were talking amongst themselves. Were kind of like, "Hey, we're always on the field." That's what they were saying the other day. Look, I think those guys play hard, but I think that's got to be exhausting to have a quarter of football where you're on the field for 13 and a half minutes. Tennessee got the ball for the Tennessee defense turned Missouri over after Missouri possessed the ball for a good 7 minutes, in that first drive, but got the ball at the midfield on a turnover. And then the offense went 3 and out. And Missouri had the ball for the rest of the quarter. Really strange beginning to that one. And the Vols were never, and I mean never, ever, ever in that game, even though if they would have handled the end of the first half properly and not had a fumble, they probably would have been leading at halftime. Really weird effort by just overall the way the game went.
Yeah, and this is my last question. It's not Joe Milton's fault. There's no question about that. He's got a ceiling that, I don't, I like the kid. I don't know where he can go with it, but do you think that Heupel is this is his ride or die? He's going to go with him this year. It doesn't matter what happens. I mean, deep down, do you think he's like throwing up his hands? Like, what else can I do?
One thought I had is I wonder if internally they talk about this. What would it have been like if they would have just said to the freshmen, hey, we're just going to let you play and grow? Probably could have gone 8-4 doing that. You probably could have 8-4, 7-5. I mean, I would think they'd have enough team to go 7-5 against that schedule, 8-4, something like that, which is probably where you're going to end up. And, the thing about Joe Milton is he's just very tantalizing. That's why he's going to get an opportunity at the next level. But unless he gets a serious gene, he won't even make it as a backup quarterback there because they won't put up with that there.
The problem with Joe Milton. Go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I'm kind of like you. I mean, you said something earlier. The NFL and the college is the same way. Like you get a high school kid that is unbelievably freakish, but like he's so inconsistent. Well, somebody in college is going to say, well, they didn't know how to coach him. Well, it's the same thing in the NFL. They're going to be like, well, they didn't know what to do to him. They didn't know how to coach him or how to use him or do his fundamentals right. So somebody's going to give him an opportunity. I think you're absolutely right, Tony.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy.
No, I was just going to say he's a box of chocolates, man. You open it up, you wake up on a Saturday and you just don't know what you're going to get. And like you said earlier, Tony, there's no really emotion. It's like the emotional attachment. He could have thrown an interception and he's still just as positive as if he would have just thrown a touchdown. There's just no difference there.
No, and look, I'm not saying for a guy to be like somebody that points at people and, on the field, you can go too far with that as well. But to some extent, when everybody's kind of dead to the world, it's a quarterback's job to say, hey, not going to happen today. We're just not going to do it. And if it happens, it happens. But it can't be, you just can't project that. I'm not trying to pick at him. The other thing that's going to be really interesting, guys, and this is something new for all of us that are watching this stuff. This transfer portal is insane. Tennessee today, Cooper Mays said today, and this is what I'm talking about. Think about this. Cooper Mays, Tennessee center, could come back next year and play. He could be an NFL caliber player. I have no idea. He's a little undersized. He's not going to get any bigger. So a guy like him, does he sink or swim? Does he jump into the NFL? Or does he come back here next year? In the meantime, George, Tennessee has to worry about all these teams now. Their roster, the Monday after the championship games are played, so that first Monday in December, these schools have that transfer portal open. So now you got to decide, is my center going to be here next year? Do I need to go get one? Because I don't have one on my roster. The Vols do not have one on their roster. So is this guy going to go to the NFL? Do I have to go get one? And it all lays right on top of that first signing period on December 20th. That's the most idiotic schedule. Think about that for a second.
That is insane.
The most idiotic, stupid, insane, makes no sense. Why isn't that transfer window in February?
Because nobody's got a brain in that deal. I mean, anybody with any common sense can take what you're saying and see that. I mean, this is part of why coaching is not as much fun as it used to be, because it's just babysitting 101, trying to read the tea leaves, go on these things and see if the guy released any news that might tell them something. You know, it's completely screwed up. Charlie Baker, if you're out there listening, help it.
Well, you're right. I was thinking about just that little example, but it's going on that times 50. If you think about it, on any of these rosters, is this guy going to be here? Is he going to jump in? Has somebody, now with Cooper Mays, he's not going anywhere. He's either going to play here or he's going to go try the NFL route. But Tennessee's in a spot where they don't have his backup on the roster. They don't have a backup center on the roster next year. They don't. So they've got to figure out, okay, am I going to count on this guy and grow a kid, which, if he comes back, but this guy owes it to himself to see the process through. So now I've got this artificial deadline where I've got this window that's on top of me. And if I want to go get somebody that can really help us and really play, I got to act quickly.
And do I dare call the kid in and ask him to look me in the eye and be honest, or does it piss him off and then he goes in the portal the next day?
Now you're talking. Now, why would you ever create a system like that exists where, and at the same time, you're still trying to close on your signing class right there in December? Why would you ever in a million years create a system and then once you see it in action, why wouldn't you adjust it? Why wouldn't you have that in February after signing day, that window there, that 30-day window? Now I see what I've signed. I understand what my roster is. You understand what our roster is. Everybody understands what they're getting into. But no, we got to put that thing right there in December and look, these guys are making way too much money. It's not even about them. It's just about how stupid it is. I mean, it's just stupid.
By the way, in a related note, we have a late trustee that's willing to add an extra $10 million to the fund Jimbo Fisher. So it's now up to $85 million.
My favorite thing about that story, George, is that there's no mitigation in his deal. So he can go get a job for $6 or $8 million next year, and he's going to make both.
Unbelievable.
It does not count against his deal. So
doesn't happen that way in radio.
On top of the stack, and I'll tell you what, Kelly, if you or I had a deal like that, I think we'd get a lot more attractive. But I'm spoken for. I'm spoken for, brother.
I'm Abercrombie and Finch material, dude, with my gray hair.
You're looking good.
That's right.
Whatever. Tell me where people can hear you, and we're wishing good health for you soon.
Yeah, tonight, believe it or not, because we have COVID in our house, my lovely wife has this now too. Generally, I'd have somebody in here doing our Garza Law Tennessee basketball overtime program, but I'm going to do that this evening, which I'm really looking forward to because they're only a 33-point favorite tonight against Wofford. I'm on the competition. I like a good train wreck as much as the next person. This Tennessee basketball team this year, guys, is nasty good. Woo. I mean, they're nasty good. At any rate, so I've got a free blog up every day over at tclub.team. Like I said, the other day we were on for like 4.5 hours after that game, which was too much fun for me to take. I was only supposed to do 3 hours, but I looked down and I just realized that I'm such a sicko, George, that I thought it was 3 hours and it was 4.5. I'm not kidding you.
Oh gosh.
Pretty lazy guy. So maybe I'll get to work one of these days.
Please do. You need a work ethic. Hey, We'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys. Much love. Thanks.
After the break, we'll talk about some of the things he brought up. And I think you'll want to hear this. Stay tuned.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615 832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, a couple of thoughts off what Tony Basilio put out there a few minutes ago in a very interesting interview. You see the picture of Brock Bowers. Kelly, I would contend that the lure of being part of a three-peat has probably made it a lot easier for him to make the decision to come back. You buy that?
I do buy that. I do buy that. But like I said, I think that Kirby Smart came from Alabama, and you got Bryce Young and Will Anderson last year not having anything to do with the national championship, yet they played. They knew they were going to be top draft picks, yet they came back. So I kind of think that he's kind of got the same type mentality as Nick Saban's got. Like, you started this process. I think if it were me, I think you need to end it with your teammates. I think they respect you more. But yeah, that's a huge key to him because I think he wants to win another one. And not many teams get the opportunity to go for 3 in a row, and Georgia has that opportunity. And I think that's a big motivating factor for him to try to get back as fast as he's gotten back.
Kelly is a young broadcaster. I was given an opportunity that not many kids my age would get, and that was to be a color analyst in Southeastern Conference basketball at the age of 23. I was only, in some cases, a year and a half older than the players, maybe 3 to 4 years older than the freshmen and sophomores. So an incredible experience. But one of the things I learned back then was if you get your butt beat on the road, when you get on that plane, it better be deathly quiet until the head coach says, it's okay. I've given the go ahead, talk, whatever. It's a different era, Kelly. You're right. When you brought up the whole sideline demeanor thing, I'll call it airplane demeanor because that's what I learned was you don't act like you're having a party if you all got beat by 40.
George is a different age, man. I can remember when we used to play. You didn't go out there on the field and shake hands afterward, especially if you lost. I mean, I know that's sportsmanship. I understand that, but like these guys nowadays, like once they finish a game, like if they lost, you can see them smiling, you can see them laughing. I just was not built like that. I was not made like that. I can remember getting on the plane when I was in college, and we went all the way out to Hawaii. And we had those guys 14-0 to start the game. And then we just kind of went into stall mode. I didn't agree with it looking back on it now, but they ended up beating us 35-14. And we got on that plane, man. And I can remember Coach Donnelly, and he said a few choice words, but he got on that plane and he said, everybody sit down and shut your, what mouths. And I don't want to hear a peep. And that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
And today, it's just not like that. I mean, I think guys are still competitive. There's no question when you make it to the pro level, and at the elite college level, and even at the college level, you're a competitor. But it's just they don't see it like we used to see it, George. They don't see that as my bitter enemy. They just don't get that, and I don't, good or bad. That's just the way the game has gone.
Okay, after the break, I just thought I would make a couple of comments off what Tony Basilio threw out there a few minutes ago. Great story coming up. I know he's there because I can see him, and I know he can hear me. Chuck Morgan helped give me my first job in broadcasting coming out of college. At the time, he was the voice of the Grand Ole Opry, but he was also a wildly popular first public address announcer of the Nashville Sounds. And I can hear this voice ringing when he would yell out, Gino Manise. He's now and has been for the last 40 years the public address voice of the Texas Rangers. So to say he's in a good mood would probably be an understatement. He led the parade around the Metroplex area last week, and we're going to find out what all of that was like and the Rangers' run to a world title. All of that is coming up after Stat of the Day. Stick around. This is going to be worth listening to.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Top of the hour on a Tuesday. Chuck Morgan coming up, but first, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up for us today. I think we're going baseball. Corbin Carroll and Gunnar Henderson both won Rookie of the Year unanimously in their leagues. When was the last time both Rookies of the Year won unanimously in the same year?
Unanimously. You know what? Let's put Chuck Morgan's fanny on the hot seat.
Hey, good luck, fellas.
Mr. Bates. Yeah. So what's the answer, Chuck?
Well, that one's tough. My first thought would be Cal Ripken. I know it wasn't Neftali Feliz. We had the Rookie of the Year in 2010. I'm going to guess maybe Cal Ripken, 1983.
And who else would have been?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, it's not.
They're always tough.
Yeah, they've gotten ridiculously tough. Let's go ahead and release it. Let's see where we go here.
Well,
wow.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
If Chuck Morgan can't get it, none of us were going to get it.
No.
How's that? So, Billy, can we give him a full screen there? There he is. Look at him. Mr. Texas Ranger himself, having just come off a world title run, the former voice of the Grand Ole Opry, and a WSM employee for years. We say hello to my buddy Chuck Morgan. Chuck, how are you?
George, I'm doing great. I was enjoying the comments about that you guys were talking about quiet bus rides, and I had a lot of those in high school. We weren't the best teams in the world up there in Southern Illinois, so had a lot of quiet bus rides, but maybe the quietest ride I've ever been on was coming back from the 2011 World Series, flying back from St. Louis. And it seemed, it's about an hour and a half flight, and it seemed like it took 30 minutes, but it was about as quiet on that airplane as I've ever heard anything.
Which is interesting because most of the time on the pro level, especially when you play 162 regular season games and the preseason and all that, normally it's not like it is in college. It's normally a lot looser. At least I think it is.
Well, I think the way that we lost Game 6.
Oh gosh.
And then I think the majority of the folks didn't think we had any chance in Game 7 anyway. So I think that's what led to that. But it was pretty quiet.
So tell us just the absolute joy you felt as somebody who's been with this organization for right at 40 years to finally have the words world champion under everything.
You know, it was pretty incredible. I mean, I was in Arizona, and I don't normally count down the outs, and my wife kept telling me to be quiet. I was counting down the outs. Okay, we got 8 to go. We got 7 to go. If we get this guy out, we don't have to face Ketel Marte again and things like that. And you know, we had the game pretty much under control. And but just, you know, George, it's like anything else that anybody does, that when you put a lot of time and effort into something, and then you put a lot of passion into it, and you know, both you and I love the game of baseball, and you love something like that, and then to, you know, grow up as a kid watching your team become world champions when you're a kid, and all of that rolled into one. I mean, it gets pretty emotional, and it's still, even this morning driving up to the ballpark, you know, you just look at the ballpark and think, wow, we're the world champions. It's still, you still got to pinch yourself a little bit, but it's a great feeling, and it really impacts everything that you're doing. You know, one of the things that folks, it's not anybody else's problem but ours, but it's a great problem to have, is we're running about 3 to 4 weeks behind in things that we are normally working on. Like, for example, I'm working on the 2024 promotion schedule today, and we got to put that together pretty quick. But it's just everything that you're involved in right now. I mean, a lot of people are calling, wanting appearances for me to come out and speak to their groups and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Chuck Morgan was inducted into the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame about a year and a half ago. Some of you will remember I had him on the show shortly after that. That's an unbelievable thrill and an unbelievable and well-deserved honor. So what was it like sort of leading the victory parade? Talk to us about what that was like.
Well, first of all, it was a big honor. John Blake, our PR guy, he's been here just about as long as I have, and he was talking about, you know, that he felt like I was the one guy that deserved to do that, and it was just, you know, George, to be on a stage and you look out and there's over 500,000 people looking back at you, and you're up there in front of the world champion baseball team. I think for a baseball fan, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. But then, you know, when we went around the parade wasn't a typical type parade that you see in a lot of cities. Granted, we're about 15 minutes from Dallas, we're about 15 minutes from Fort Worth, and we're in Arlington, so there's not a real skyline of Arlington, Texas. So what they did is they went around the entertainment district here in Arlington, that includes the Cowboys Stadium and Six Flags and things of that nature. And all the players were in pickup trucks and things. So it was a lot of fun, and it was just unbelievable turnout. We had put this together at about the first day we started talking about it was the morning that we won Game 5 in Arizona, and we got it put together in a couple of days. So, but it was a lot of fun, great turnout, and pretty much we didn't expect that many people to show up, but they did, and it was just really a great experience.
Did I hear correctly? 750,000?
Yeah, there's some estimates that, you know, we had heard anywhere from 400 to 500,000, and then the city of Arlington saying there was probably over 700,000 people.
Wow!
And it was great. I mean, and it was just a great experience, and everything you thought it would be.
Chuck, tell me about Bruce Bochy. Now, it's not like I didn't know he was a great manager. This is a first ballot Hall of Famer whenever he decides to say, I've had enough. Some may not know he lives in and around the Nashville area. What is the magic touch that this guy has?
You know, it's that just having that experience that he's had, he's probably seen just about every type of situation you can see in a ball game. So he handles a ball game just outstanding, and he operates the way Johnny Oates, former Nashville Sounds manager, that Johnny told me one time, you never get too high on the highs, too low on the lows, and that's the way Bruce Bochy is, and he handles the team real well. And one of the things that he had to deal with a lot this year, a couple of things that he handled very well. Number one, we had a rough time with our bullpen through some parts of the season. And the other thing, he had to deal with some injuries to some major people. I mean, we lost Corey Seager for about a month and then lost him again late in the year for a couple of weeks. Then we lost Nathan Eovaldi, who was our best pitcher all year. We lost him for a while. Any of those types of things probably would have thrown any other type of team not led by a steady hand like Bruce Bochy's, would have thrown them off the tracks, and they couldn't recover from things like that. Even the guy you and I talked about earlier today, Josh Young, who finished fourth in the Rookie of the Year voting, we lost him for about a month to a broken thumb, and just little things like that. But he handled it with a great hand. He was steady, and man, I tell you what, once we hit the playoff run, it really kicked in gear. But you really got to tip your hat to the job that Boch did with the team this year.
Here's a stat about the Rangers that is just, for me, mind-boggling. 11-0 on the road in postseason. How the hell does that happen?
Well, I don't know. You know what's funny, George, is that we had a better record at home this year than we've ever had before. We won about 53 games at home, and it was a great year at our ballpark. But that run, it's just that they started out in Tampa Bay and they ran through that. Then they went to Baltimore. They ran through Baltimore, and it was just a great run. And then you and I talked earlier today. We got down to those. We had to beat Houston twice in Houston to win the American League Championship, and that happened. And it was just a credit to this team that said, you know what, we're not going to get beat. We're going to win this thing. And they felt like they were the best team all year long, and it turned out that way. But just an incredible run there in the postseason.
Chuck, this is Kelly Holcomb, who you're about to see here in a minute, former NFL quarterback. Kelly, I want you to imagine this. When Chuck left to go to the Rangers, okay, it was a job he had to take. I remember him coming to me when we were both at WSM and telling me about this. Well, then Larry Schmittou had me audition to replace you, Chuck. And so I'm on a microphone in an empty stadium giving it one of these, next batter, Gino. Sorry. You know what? I'm glad I didn't get that job because I wouldn't have wanted to replace you.
Yeah, George, you'd have been fine. Larry should let you have that job. You'd have been fine. Yeah, I tell everybody I'm doing the same thing I was doing when I was 5 years old. I'm bringing guys up to bat in my imaginary ballpark playing wiffle ball when I was 5 and 6 years old. So, just loving the game. If you love the game, you're going to enjoy the game. You'll be fine.
Absolutely. Kelly, say hello to Chuck Morgan.
Chuck, how you doing? Good to meet you.
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic.
Well, I always say this when I meet somebody. I'm certainly sorry, and I apologize that you know George.
George and I go way back.
Oh, do we ever?
Yeah. He was talking about. I guess he was talking about before you came on. Like you were one of the first guys that gave him an opportunity. So let's put him in the hot seat. What made you think George had it in him to do as good as he's done in his career?
You know what, Kelly? I've asked myself that many times over the last few years, and I wonder how in the hell can that guy be a success? But you know what, George? The first thing that a guy like George, he loves sports, not just baseball or whatever. He loves them all, and he enjoys that, and he enjoys being a part of broadcasting. So the minute you find out somebody likes sports as much as George does, he's in the perfect career. He's fine.
So obviously you guys had an amazing year. Did you see this coming by the year before that? Because it was not very good. and then you go all the way to the first time ever in franchise history. Did you see that coming? Did you see the makings of that possibly?
I don't think, Kelly, there's anybody here that saw this, that a world championship coming. I think they thought we were going to be better. I think some people thought, along with me, that, maybe 81, 82, 83 wins was going to be a good year for us, taking another step. But a couple of years ago, we lost 102 games. Last year, we only won 68, so it wasn't much of an improvement. So I don't think there was anybody here that thought that a world championship was in order. But I do, I go into every year at least having some hope that at least we can get into postseason play. And if you can, you never know what's going to happen. But to go through the run that we just went on, I don't think anybody here really saw that happening. We were looking for improvement, but not anything like this.
I got you. So every offseason there's changes, and the Shohei sweepstakes are coming. Do you see the Texas Rangers getting involved in that, or not really a need, or what is that?
Yeah, put him on the spot.
I tell you what, if you were to put him in that Ranger lineup, it'd be pretty powerful. We've already got a few guys in there that he would enjoy playing with. I think that we'll be one of the teams that takes a look at it. I know they want to. They'd like to shore up our bullpen a little bit, and depending on what happens to Jordan Montgomery, who we got in a trade from St. Louis, he's a free agent. I know they would like to get Jordan back. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think there's a couple other things they've got in mind before they think about Shohei Ohtani, and that would really impact the payroll here. We had a pretty healthy payroll this past season, but I'm sure they've taken a look at it. We were one of the teams back in the day when he first signed with the Angels that we were one of the rumored teams that he was going to come to, but he'd look real good in the Ranger lineup right now in the 3-hole.
He'd look good with anybody. So, and your expertise, you've been in this thing for a long time. What do the Rangers need to do to upgrade their roster? I mean, they're coming off a World Series victory, but there's always weaknesses in a lineup or weaknesses in a bullpen. What do you think their biggest offseason acquisition should be?
Well, I think we're going to have to shore up our bullpen. That was a problem. We won a world championship, and we lost the most games late in games due to our bullpen. Now it's funny because we got into the postseason. The bullpen was one of the strong points, but I know they want to shore that bullpen up. I'm sure they'd like to get a big time closer in here. They've got to get if Jordan Montgomery doesn't come back, they're going to have to get a starting pitcher. So upgrade the pitching a little bit, get the bullpen fixed, and then add another bat. And I think we'd go to town with that. So but being the world champions, that's what we need to do to repeat.
So this is my last thing. I think you're the voiceover for our show, and I'm always busting Billy.
Here we go.
And George knows where I'm going with this. We're going to need your assistance again because I've been on the show for 7 months. Watson's he comes on Mondays, but Watson's no longer here. But they refuse to put me in the opening, and they always say because we can't get a hold of you. So now we've got you on the show.
We can't get a hold of him.
I'm just saying though, like we need your voiceover again because I'm getting I'm going to start complaining even more if I don't get on the opening of the show, and we need your voice again.
Kelly, if you could get the copy from George and send it to me, I'll record it. It's like first of all, that's unacceptable. I mean, you're on there.
Thank you.
You're on there every day. I mean, you need to be introed. So yeah,
thank you.
And I hate to hear that George has been lying to you that he can't get a hold of me because I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
No, you got to watch George now. Sometimes you don't answer your phone calls, and when guys don't answer your phone calls, you got a question.
Wow. So let's see how we end this. Okay, here's a legitimate ending to it.
Okay.
When you're a world champion, like you brought up a few minutes ago, you're being asked, you're being stretched everywhere. Go speak here. Mr. World Champion, go do this, go do that. What kind of benefits will the Rangers feel a year from now, ticket-wise, because they are world champs?
It's going to be very tough to get a ticket for the 2024 season. You know, in addition to being world champions, we've got the All-Star game coming, so that was already going to impact ticket sales in some way. But there's going to be some games, George, that people are not going to be able to wait and see if they want to buy a ticket for. In fact, we just had a meeting before I went on with you guys, and we're going over the promotion schedule, and people are going to have to buy in advance for the first time. So this will be the first time, other than the 2010, 2011, 2012, when we were in the World Series back then, that there's going to be a real demand on tickets for Texas Ranger games. And, one of the things that's really happened is last week, towards the end of the week, being where we are, we're right next to the Cowboys Stadium. The Cowboys were playing the Eagles that week, and the Dallas Mavericks were off to the best start they've had in a while, and the Dallas Stars were winning. And for the first time in October, November, the Texas Rangers were at the top of the news, and that's never happened in this area before. So that's one of the changes. But as far as tickets go, it's going to be a tough ticket to get all season long.
Man, I love it. This story has brought a smile to my face because I know what it means to this guy to be able, after 40 years, to say, we are world champions. Chuck, I am thrilled for you. Yes, I will get you some copy, and reluctantly, we will do Kelly right. Although, let me say this. I don't know if he deserves it.
Well, I mean, I deserve it, but I've been on for 7 months. I mean, let's get the show on the road, Hoss. Let's go.
I agree. George, I'm sorry. I got to agree with Kelly. If he's been 7 months, that is unacceptable. That's got to be.
I mean, it's false advertising is what we're doing. We're saying Washington's still on. He comes on Mondays. Who cares?
He has threatened to boycott a charity bowling event, for God's sakes.
I don't blame him, George. I don't blame him. He deserves the best. He's been 7 months.
You, Chuck.
He deserves it fixed.
Yeah, y'all go have a love
man.
fest.
We can have him on. I like Chuck, man, because
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Awesome.
Hey, Chuck, before we go, guess who I talked to a couple of weeks ago? Well, I don't know, a month and a half ago.
Who would that be?
Verge.
Oh, Verge Jack. Yeah. Where does he live now?
Verge is in Illinois. Verge Jacks was a Channel 4 television news reporter back in the 80s, and a damn good one. And we used to get together, the three of us, and talk sports like crazy. And so I happened to find out from Alan Williams how to get a hold of Verge. And we ended up talking. We talked about you and talked about a lot of the old guard back in the 80s. It was great.
George, one of my favorite memories of Verge Jacks is he's anchoring the news, the Scene at 6 on Channel 4. And I was filling in either for Rudy Kalis or somebody, or Charlie McAlexander.
Or Paul.
Or Paul Eels. And I would be reading back in those days, you read the scores on the sports on TV.
Right.
They don't do that anymore.
What
but
a novel
I was reading the scores, and I think Verge and I probably had some friendly wagers on games, and I would read a score and he'd go, shoot! And you could barely hear it. Oh! Well, every time I'd read a score. He had a lot of bad days betting on those games, but I could hear him go, oh man.
A candidate for FanDuel.
Hey, didn't he go to school at the University of Illinois?
Yes, he
did.
He
played football there, didn't he?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Came by it honestly.
Yep.
I'm glad I got that in there, Chuck. Great having you on.
Hey, anytime, George, let me know. We'll help you out.
Thank you.
Get this thing fixed. I'll help you.
Okay. Fair enough.
Y'all have a great day.
That was the last answer I needed to hear from him.
Yes. Yes. It's working. Kelly, it's working. I'm worn him down.
Did you give Kelly his number? Have they been talking?
No, I mean, Kelly acts like, I don't have
like
anything else going on. Does anybody
first of all, you can't do it, George. First of all, you don't know how to do it. Billy's the one that's got to do it. And next time I see Billy, I'm going to punch him in the throat.
Wow.
Kelly's going to find something else to complain about. After.
We will have you arrested. Just know that. Okay, we'll go to the break and then a few random thoughts about a few things when we come back.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
On Monday, November the 27th, I'll be playing host to the 3rd annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night here at the Strike and Spare on Lebanon Pike. Here's where I need your help. We have 64 foursomes that will play with 64 sports celebrities. We've done a good job in getting the foursomes, and now I need some of you as single players to sign up and get involved. The cost is $200. The proceeds will benefit the Last Minute Toy Store and the Martha O'Brien Center. And what I promise you that night is great bowling, maybe not, great food, a ton of fun, and in fact, I'll make this claim, more fun than any charity sports event you have ever been involved in. To get involved, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know whether you want to be in the 6 to 8 p.m. shift or the 8 to 10, and get ready for a night of bowling and fun you'll never forget.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Okay, a few random thoughts that I want to throw at the soon-to-be in the open Kelly Holcomb.
Let's do it.
Well, no reaction. Okay, thought number one. For all of the crap that he's taken for the last year and a half, and some of it rightfully so, Russell Wilson looked as close to Russell Wilson last night as I have seen in a while. Go.
He did. He really did. He was just the underhand passes, those two passes that he completed. The Buffalo Bills had him on third down twice. And he made one of those Russell Wilson plays that he used to make in Seattle. We haven't seen that in a couple of years. And he was all over the place. That touchdown throw that he made, that was a really good catch by the wide receiver. He getting his feet down, but that was a really good throw by Russell Wilson. The one where he got the rollout and the guy was right in his face and he hit the back. The guy that was covering the back actually fell down. It would have been a much closer play, but they scored on that. But yeah, he really looked good. And the pretentious relationship that I talked about, contentious but pretentious. I'm going to say that because it's kind of phony, but
I think they hate each other.
I think you're probably right. I think it's a little bit of phoniness, but I think that they're finally finding a medium ground there, and what they're doing is working. I mean, let's not forget, George, this team got scored 70 on them a couple of weeks ago by the Miami Dolphins, and they look like they were the worst team in the National Football League. So you've got to give somebody in that organization credit, and Sean Payton is at the head of the list. So you've got to give him credit because they didn't pout. They didn't cry over spilled milk. They went back to work, and they found something that works. You don't normally see Russell Wilson handing the ball off as much as he's handing the ball off, but, man, they are playing ball. He's completing passes, and they look good.
Will Bryce Young ever get to C.J. Stroud's level?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question, George. I don't know. I think that C.J. Stroud went to a better football team. They were still pretty bad, though. They were still pretty bad. I think they had more pieces in place than the Carolina Panthers do. I don't know that. That was the question coming into the draft, and nobody ever really knows about how a guy's going to be when he gets drafted and he goes to an NFL team. It's totally different in college to the pros. And everybody was talking, is C.J. Stroud better? Is Bryce Young better? Well, right now, the early test, C.J. Stroud was the home run. Bryce Young, not so much. I'm like you, though. Bryce Young is a really good football player, and I think we need to give him a little bit more time to get some pieces around him. They're like the Titans. They can't protect him. So with a guy that's his size, you have to be able to protect, but I don't think his talent's gone anywhere. He's just got to get some more talent around him.
Now, think about this one. True or false? Neither the Buffalo Bills nor the Cincinnati Bengals make the AFC playoffs.
That's false. I think the Cincinnati Bengals will. I'm not sure that the Buffalo Bills now will. They've got they put up on the graphics last night on the screen that Buffalo has their schedule is like you call it a murderer's row, and they've got the third toughest schedule to finish the season out. They've got some really tough games. They have to go to Dallas, I think, or they have to play the Cowboys. They have to play some tough teams. They've got to play Kansas City as well. It's not getting any easier for the Bills. I just think, man, Joe Burrow always comes through. They let one slip away the other day with the Houston Texans, but I think the Bengals will get in. I'm just not sure about the Bills. They might both miss. They might both make it in. I don't know. It just depends on the next 7 weeks of the season.
I know we talk a lot about the Bills' mistakes and penalties late in that game, but did y'all notice how the Broncos they didn't have any timeouts. And, they were going to get the kickoff, but my gosh, I mean, what if that missed the kick? By the way, so they're probably talking if they don't have that penalty, there's probably a lot of people saying, well, maybe you should have just gone ahead and kicked it on third down.
Well,
I mean, the coaching mismanagement in the last minute of that game was laughable.
But let me say this. They pulled it off in the first half. I'm telling you, Denver special teams unit, kudos to them. Man, they got their butt out there like that.
But that's situational football that you always work on. I can remember being up there and those guys working on that stuff. You just go over that stuff over and over and over again. Now, I will say this, Billy. If I was the Buffalo Bills, I know they were trying to stop the clock, but at that point, it's already done. It's done. I would have let the clock roll and make them go frantically doing that. I would not have called a timeout on third down when they did, because he's trying to save some time. I understand that, but I would have made them go through that process of, I'm not going to call a timeout. You're going to have to rush your team on the field. And I don't know if they'd have been ready, but when they called the timeout, then Sean Payton got everybody around and said, hey, we've got to down this ball. And once you down the ball, you've got to give the ball directly to the referee. And then the field goal team has got to rush onto the field. So they were able to get all their ducks in a row before it happened. And if I was Sean McDermott, I wouldn't have allowed that to happen.
What a wild ending. There's probably not going to be another crazier ending this whole year.
But Buffalo's been doing this all year.
All year. All year.
There's something going on up there, and I don't pretend to know what it is. I don't know if it's the beer they're drinking in the tailgates or what, but there's something not right in Buffalo.
They're having too many wings. They're having too many Buffalo wings at the Anchor Bar, dude. That's what's happening.
This is the kind of loss where
you sound like you've been there.
I have.
Yeah.
This is the kind of loss where I feel like executives, whether it's the GM or owner or whoever, I don't know, the NFL teams don't have donors. I guess maybe they do. But people at the top go, he's done. In their mind, maybe mentally, they say, McDermott, if this, it's kind of the beginning, because look at their schedule. I mean, what happened last night that's inexcusable.
I'm telling y'all what I told y'all at the beginning of the show. When a head coach starts getting heat on him, he's going to start dispersing that out. He's already fired his offensive coordinator. I mean, that's what happened because he's feeling heat from the front office. So that was not good last night. You cannot lose a game. They just lost the game because they couldn't count to 11. It's amazing.
Notre Dame.
How does that usually happen? 12 men on the field.
One.
Who do you blame?
2, 3,
easily.
5, 7, 6.
Well,
here's people that can't count.
Here's what normally happens, Billy. There's sometimes there's an injury, and when you got an injury, you got a depth chart. And when the next guy steps up, well, maybe that injured guy came back, but the guy that took his place wasn't told that he was back. And then that stuff happens. So you've got to be really well organized on the sideline, because special teams, you always see that at the beginning of the year, but not at this time of year. But at the beginning of the year, guys running on the field, rushing on the field. Hey, I forgot to go out. But that sometimes happens when you get injuries, and then that guy that's injured comes back. Well, the other guy wasn't told. So things like that happen.
Okay, last question. NFC. We've got a big four that's as good as I have seen in a while. Philly, San Fran, Detroit, Dallas. Rank them 1 through 4.
I think it goes just like you said it. Philadelphia, San Fran. And can you imagine how big of a contributor Deebo Samuels is? I think the dude's the best player in the league, but he's been injured, and they lost 3 games in a row. Now he comes back, and they're dominant again. So it's amazing just putting him out on the field, how much a defense and a defensive coordinator and all those guys on defense have to account for him. It's kind of amazing. But I go Philly, I go San Fran, I go Detroit, then I go Dallas.
Okay. We'll go to our final break. Plaster bet of the day, which in the last 72 hours has taken on some water. We intend to get rid of the problems and start making you money again. Please be listening.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
On Monday, November the 27th, I'll be playing host to the 3rd annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night here at the Strike and Spare on Lebanon Pike. Here's where I need your help. We have 64 foursomes that will play with 64 sports celebrities. We've done a good job in getting the foursomes, and now I need some of you as single players to sign up and get involved. The cost is $200. The proceeds will benefit the Last Minute Toy Store and the Martha O'Brien Center. And what I promise you that night is great bowling, maybe not, great food, a ton of fun, and in fact, I'll make this claim, more fun than any charity sports event you have ever been involved in. To get involved, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know whether you want to be in the 6 to 8 p.m. shift or the 8 to 10, and get ready for a night of bowling and fun you'll never forget. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain.
From a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458, or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Forgot to mention, but the Preds are back in action tonight at home against Anaheim.
Yep.
So hopefully they can get themselves back on track. Also, Vandy and Tennessee in action on the hardwood. So we'll see where George goes tonight. Also got some college football as well. Three Maction games, I want to say. So
yes.
All at 7 o'clock. So lot on the TV tonight. But first, bet of the day.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. My bad. 7 Eastern. Bart Durham Injury Law brings it to us. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night. And as George said,
that never had a chance.
Let's go Buffalo, didn't work.
No, it did not. That was a little bit of a stunner, but if you've been watching Buffalo all year, last night was just a snapshot of what their whole season has been like. They are 5-5. I imagine coming to their facility today, a little bit of a downer.
Meanwhile, the Broncos, don't sleep on them.
Yeah. Russell Wilson, he looked good.
He's back.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the record, but it's taken on some water in the last week. It's time to get it back together. And all of you know it. Once you go MAC, you can never go back. Northern Illinois in front of hundreds tonight. Could get up to 1,000, but there will be hundreds watching that game.
It's messed up, George. That's really messed up, man. I mean, I know that there's going to be sections available, but that's really messed up.
Is that at Western Michigan?
No, it's at Northern Illinois. I've done a game there.
That stadium capacity looks like it's about 31,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, good.
Think they get half that?
No, A
quarter?
Now, the weather in November makes it really hard to get down on anybody because you basically freeze. You look at the people in the stands, they're miserable, but they're getting the TV exposure. We know a little more about Northern Illinois and Western Michigan, than we would have known.
I'll tell you who gets up for these are the student sections.
Yeah.
I mean, of these schools.
All 30 of them. Yeah. You look and there's about 2 rows of people and then it just sort of dies. Okay, so we're going Northern Illinois tonight. We need a win. Here's what else I need. If any of you who are watching this live or if you watch it later tonight, I now have 3 people for a foursome in my bowling deal during the 6 o'clock hour. I need to add a 4th person, and you can be that person by emailing me, plastergeorge@gmail.com, and I have a ready-made foursome for you. Kelly, we are on the move. It's been a little slow, but it's starting to happen.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Have you got somebody to replace me?
No, I do not. And I'll be honest, several of the foursomes have said, I don't want Kelly as my celeb.
That's totally fine. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that because you can't make everybody happy. I found that out in the Cleveland Browns Stadium. One play I got cheered. The next play I got booed. So I understand that. I get it.
I think it's a personality issue. I don't think it was performance. Well, I think they knew what you were like.
No, they obviously don't, because if they knew what I was like, they would definitely want me in their foursome.
Yeah. Great.
I bring life to the party, George, as you see on this show. I brought life.
There's no question you have. Billy, let's end it like this. Even though you're a celeb in this, if you were part of a foursome, would you want Kelly as your celeb?
No.
Okay. Well,
because he's not a good enough bowler. He said he's not a good bowler. I want to win.
You know what? Maybe we need to have a little side wager.
Billy, I've told you this. Now, bowling's kind of out because I ain't the greatest bowler, but if it involves a ball, I can play it, Hoss.
Well, it's called a bowling ball, Hoss.
I understand that. I totally get that, which I'm not the greatest. I understand. That's probably my worst sport is bowling. But if it pertains to a ball, I can play it, Billy. So don't underestimate the old Kelster, even at the rightful age of 50.
Kelster.
Okay?
There's no laces on this ball.
On that disgusting thought, we are out of here. See you tomorrow. Please join us.
See y'all.
The Kelster.